Hello, and thank you for joining us today as we unpack a very important topic for senior living providers, the electronic health record. My name is Steve Vandervelde, and I serve at Provinet Solutions as the Senior Living Enterprise Architect. We are a full services IT consulting company providing all things that you may think about when you think of IT, but we have a unique focus in senior services industry, being born out of a provider ourselves. This is where we go beyond traditional IT services and have a robust offering around the EHR, even employing a team of informatics nurses and financial consultants. Today, we wanted to talk about how providers can unlock the full potential of their EHR solutions. This is a very important topic at any point, but during COVID, I would argue it should be even more front and center in the strategic visions of providers across the country. Let's spend a few moments addressing that elephant in the room and what COVID means for the EHR initiatives for providers during this unique time. So, why is the idea of optimization of our EHR still important? First off, we need to think of the EHR as the core of our services. No matter how many enterprise applications or technologies an organization may have, the central hub of all of them will always be the electronic health record. We think of the EHR as kind of that central hub. You can kind of imagine if we have interoperability where we have our prospects starting from a CRM solution, and when they move in, they're going to go into the EHR with a patient record. There, everything else is going to spread out to all your other ancillary applications. So if we have information from the EHR on the patient going to our point of sale, we're going to our work order system, or any of those other ancillary systems that may live outside of that core EHR, we want to make sure that that core is healthy. However, many EHR customers, in our experience, fail to utilize these features or don't take the time to fully build them out to their maximum potential. The content that can greatly benefit their customer base, but if the customer is not activating it and building it into their workflow, it goes unutilized. Uh, when deciding what to focus resources on as well, EHR optimization efforts tend to be full of low hanging fruit opportunities. So sometimes to address pain points or to better leverage the system, it can be as simple as a configuration update, turning this knob, flipping that switch, or just educating users on the correct way to utilize a specific function. With our resources taxed more than ever as they battle COVID in our communities, any effort that we can muster to optimize the EHR and improve the clinician workflow, promote better efficiencies, and save time is going to be a win. It's absolutely worth the effort to gain any convenience we can for our caregivers. So, what about organizations that are in the midst of or will be beginning the implementation of a new EHR? We definitely are still seeing providers proceed with new EHR implementations even amidst COVID, as they may be currently on an inferior or dated EHR, and they have integration requirements or they simply have a big desire for the new technology. But everyone is still very hesitant to put any burden, especially in EHR implementation, onto the already taxed staff at this time. What we are seeing to combat this is the idea of an EHR implementation liaison. This can be a third party that can come in alongside your team and shoulder a lot of the burden that would otherwise fall to the customer. Things like build configuration, legacy data conversion, training the end users, and providing staff the support at the time of go live are all great items to consider when putting on an implementation liaison type of team. This can get the provider up to the next level of EHR technology without overburdening the staff and ensuring a smooth transition to a platform that can better serve the organization's strategy and care of the residents. With that, let's dive into some of the initiatives that providers can actually consider now to better leverage their EHRs. So first up, let's make sure that we're staying current with the new versions and that you understand the new functionality available in each version that may be coming out. All the time, EHR vendors are making various improvements to their software, adding new functionality, and doing everything they can to keep up with the competition. However, just as often, we see providers struggle to keep up with what's new in these version updates. It can be a full-time job in itself, depending on which software you may use. But there is a treasure trove of new content to be considered that could be addressing active pain points, your users may actually be experiencing. This is another terrific reason why an optimization project can help assess the current state of your EHR, help you determine your desired future state, and then take you from point A to point B simply by utilizing what is already available within your software. Additionally, each vendor has a plethora of value to be gained from their respective user communities. All across the country, there are similar providers using the exact same EHR as you, and they may bring a totally different experience and perspective to that equation. Engaging in any user community forums, webinars, and user groups is a great way to network within this community, share ideas and resolutions, and have another unbiased source of information and reference around your EHR. On that note, we want to stress the importance of the idea of the EHR optimization is a process that is really ongoing. It isn't a one and done deal. There's always going to be things done outside the EHR that really should be brought inside. There will always be new pain points coming up and some level of dissatisfaction simply due to the fact that no EHR is perfect. And they are ever evolving and changing, and just like we talked about before. So optimization must really be an ongoing process. It's something we ideally like to see providers revisit once every year or two or three. Great example of how an optimization can flow is the visual here. So we usually like to start with a review of the configuration of what is in the software that's currently being utilized, what is not being utilized just based on what's available and set up. We usually like to complete some user interviews to kind of hear where their pain points might be, where they desire more efficiency or more use of the actual software. We develop a plan around that to take you from that the current state to that desired future state, and then actually implementing the items on that plan. Realizing the benefits of each item and understanding what the effort might be for each of those and prioritizing from there. And then it's important to keep momentum going. Another important concept is to ensure that your team has access to support. So we want to make sure that even if we have super users available and they're able to help us promote best practice and the way that the software is configured and what the corporate standardization may be, we want to make sure that there's support when they're not present. If they're at home sleeping or just off, it's usually pretty difficult to make sure that you're staffed with super users full 24/7. So that's where we need to make sure that providers are leveraging a full EHR team. If your vendor offers a robust, truly 24/7 service desk for support of the EHR platform, that is terrific. And organizations must make sure they are leveraging it to its fullest potential, that every user feels like they can pick up the phone and send an email and get immediate expert assistance. If that's not the case, then there's an opportunity to explore outsourced 24/7 EHR support. There are some organizations out there, Providence one of them, that are certified in all of the big EHR products and are able to support providers no matter which solution they're using. It's nice to have that source of constant. This can be a huge value add to your user base and to your super users. Ensuring that EHR is well supported is critical to its success and its return on investment. And another important topic is ensuring that your EHR is next gen. So there's a lot of older EHR platforms out there that might be written on an older database language. And that means it's going to be even harder for them to integrate with other software or to share data in a meaningful way if you're using any type of analytics. Making sure that you're in a modern type of platform is key. These software don't always age very well. So we want to make sure that our EHR is able to adhere to some basic core principles. So the idea that we can be interoperable, we can integrate with other software, with other providers, with our hospital or with our pharmacy or partners. We want to make sure that there's some capability for business intelligence. Of course, it needs to be easy to use for the staff, and it needs to be able to be available 24/7 from any device. We don't want it to be reliant on one certain type of operating system or browser. We wanted to make sure it's a truly web-based platform that can be accessed from any device that has access to the internet. It's also important to consider cybersecurity. We want to make sure that our staff understands all the valuable information that lives within that EHR. There needs to be ongoing training around that. We need to have some type of efforts to make sure that we're testing ourselves and making sure that we're identifying any weak spots and addressing those. We need to have strong policies and procedures that can be an important base layer for us to consider when we're building up our strategy around cybersecurity. It's not something that just IT has to worry about. It really is something that the entire organization needs to be aware of. It's so easy for phishing attempts or anything like that to get through to unsuspecting users, and if they're not aware of what's happening or what to look for, we can have some disastrous consequences. So we need to make sure that we're pursuing strong cybersecurity all throughout our EHR, considering the value of the protected health information that lives there. Lastly, we want to make sure that all the data that's in that EHR is being utilized. We're capturing a ton of data each day, clinically, financially, resource-wise, and not a lot of providers yet are able to access that data in a meaningful way, being able to combine that from our EHR and even our other ancillary software to look at what strategies we might need to consider for the future. Um, this is where business intelligence can be key. We want to make sure that we have uh, dashboards that make sense that we can drill down into, and it's more than just having flashy dashboards and something that looks nice on a PowerPoint or on a presentation. It needs to be something that's embraced by the organization. It has to be something that's woven within the blood of the organization, and that's something that it needs to drive the business. We need to make sure that we're making data-driven decisions as we go forward with all the valuable information that lives within that EHR and other ancillary software. So that's definitely an issue that seems to be more future facing. I think we're a little bit behind as an industry in this area, but we're starting to see some providers leverage the value that's here, and it's doing some amazing things. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to all that we have to say here about the electronic health record. I hope that this has given some insight and some assistance. If any questions come up or if there's anything that we can help you explore further, we're happy to be a resource to you, and don't hesitate to contact us.